Hey everybody, we're just a couple days out from the amateur draft. It's our first draft here on the new Capwise GM app. So I just want to do a quick run through of the draft room tool on the new app and make sure everyone's comfortable using it. So make this as quick as I possibly can. So here on my screen, you're seeing the dashboard, which hopefully by now you're pretty familiar with. This is the landing page when you go to gm.capwise.com. Sorry, gm.capwisehockey.com. You'll see all your teams listed out here, and as you can see in the middle of it, you're going to have this little badge telling you how many picks left until your pick, or your next pick anyway. If the draft hasn't started yet, it's going to say draft room instead, but I've already kicked off the PCFL draft just so I can do this demo. So if I click that, it's going to take me straight into the draft room. Takes a minute to load, and then I will see the full rundown of picks. Now, I said this before, but I just want to call it out. This is not necessarily how I would design a draft room if I was designing it from scratch. This is very similar to what Fantrax has. And since we're still using Fantrax for the reentry draft, I thought it made sense to try to match it instead of doing maybe something better. But I'm open to feedback. If there's different things you'd like in the way this is laid out, we can certainly address those after this year's draft. So just to orient you real quick here, first of all, you're still in the website. So if you click here, you're going to go back to the dashboard. If you click the hamburger menu over here, you're still going to see the same options. Up here, you've got a quick picker to jump between different leagues. That will go between all the different leagues drafts. This live here is telling us that the draft is live. It might say paused, it might say upcoming, depending on the status. The wrench is admin only, so you're not going to see that wrench, but the gear wheel, that's your settings that you can choose. Just clicking those settings, there's some auto draft stuff here, which I'll talk about in a minute, but we also have this cover option. This is where you can add someone to proxy for you. So this isn't wide open like it used to be on Google Sheets. If you want someone to be able to make selections for you, you need to choose them from this list. This is every GM in Capwise, every active GM in Capwise. So you can pick anybody. They don't have to be in the league, in this league, I mean. And then they can come to this draft room and draft for you. You can set your notification preferences here. If you want to receive on-deck notifications, check that box. If you want just the on-the-clock ones, you can check that box. By default, they're both enabled, and these notifications are going to be private messages on the forum. If I turn them off, I think I get a little, it's going to just warn you, like, please don't turn off the on-the-clock one. Unless you're really confident with your auto drafting, leave that one on so that you're at least getting the on-the-clock notifications. At the bottom here, you have the option to withdraw. As a reminder, once you withdraw all your picks, you cannot trade them. So first, if you're about to pull out of the draft, you might want to see if anybody else wants your picks first. And then after that, you can withdraw. Okay, the next row here, we have the league. I put the league logo here and the name just to make it really obvious because I know a lot of you are in a bunch of different leagues and you don't want to accidentally be in the wrong place. So this is the PCFL draft room we're looking at. You can see the status here, 0 picks so far. On the right side here, you can see who's on the clock, which is Pimples. You can see who's on deck, which is Queen City Canucks. You can see how much time Pimples has left, so that clock is counting down. And then you can see how many until your next pick. So me, I manage the brew pens here. My first pick is number 17, so I'm 16 picks away. Clicking these teams will take you to their roster in a new tab, by the way. If it's your turn, in fact, even if it's not your turn, if your JV roster is full, you're going to get a flag. I think it appears like right around here in the middle of the screen. It's going to tell you that your roster is full. You're not going to be able to draft if your JV roster is full. It's not going to skip you, but you're not going to be able to make your selection. So if you're up and it says that, you're going to have to click into your team, drop somebody or promote somebody, and then you'll be able to come back here and actually draft. Okay, in this main section here, so we have kind of that was all the header, right? And then we have the upper section and the lower section. In the middle here, you can see where I'm hovering. I can adjust the size of these two sections. This exists on the mobile app as well, which I'll show very briefly at the end. Works the same way, but I can adjust that up or down. For right now, we're looking at the top section, so I'm going to pull that down out of the way. You can see I've got all 6 rounds here. I've got all the picks. I've got the team logos of who owns the pick. You can hover over that for a second to see who it is if you're not sure what that logo is. And of course, it's telling me that Pimples is on the clock. That pick is highlighted in yellow and surrounded in orange. Your picks throughout the draft, so you can see mine, the brew pins, are also outlined in this orange. And then you can see as I'm hovering around, the orange pops up too. But that just calls out your picks pretty easily so you can see where you're at. Once the selection has been made, it'll say the player's name here instead of on the clock. Under teams, you can see all the teams in the league. We can see how many players they have on their JV. We can see how many picks they've got left and when their next one is. And we can see the average time per pick. We haven't started here yet, so everyone's at 0 on the average time per pick. There's a little arrow here, kind of hard to see, but if you click that, now I can see my JV roster here. And actually, let me go to my team. I can see my JV roster here, and I can drop or promote somebody right from here. So if your roster is full and you want to make a quick adjustment, you can do it right here instead of having to jump over to your team page. This also tells you exactly how many spots you got free. I can arrow back over to this side, or I can continue. There's a third page here, which shows all the selections that I've made. Nobody's made any yet, so nothing shows, but once they have, it'll show up here as well. The third tab here is leagues. This is just all the other leagues. Right now, every other league is just upcoming for their draft, but once they're in progress, you're going to see what pick number they're on. So just kind of helpful to real quickly see where all the other drafts are at. And then all these are links as well, so I can click it. It's going to open a new tab to that draft room, so I can jump between leagues real easily. Okay, I'm going to push that back up and jump down to this lower section. So we've got 3 columns here in the lower section. On the left, we have activity. This is a chat room. You can say anything you like. And you're going to see it pop in. It's going to have your forum username and your forum avatar. I can also edit that. I can delete that. I can filter down and just see selections. I can just see chats. I can just see updates. That's all here in activity. To the right of that, we have available players. So this is all the available players in the draft. Now, quick caveat here. I tried to get this as good as I possibly can, but there are some very old players who are in our database and don't have a games played total. So you might find like Ron Francis or something showing up as eligible for the amateur draft. Honestly, if you want to draft Ron Francis, go nuts. He can hold a spot on your roster as long as you want. But it should mostly be correct. It should mostly be showing you players that are actually relevant and JV eligible. Certainly, it's not going to show you anyone who's too young, and it's not going to show you anyone who has more than 120 games played. You can filter this list down by position. You can also choose a specific team or free agents if they're not on an NHL team. You can also pick the draft year. This isn't fully seeded. I tried to go back at least 5 or 6 years here of draft data. But if I wanted to just quickly jump back and look at who's still around from the 2024 draft, that will filter this list. Any filters you apply here, you can just click clear filters, and that's going to send it back. You can draft directly from this room or from this spot once it's your turn. I can't click draft right now. It's not my turn. You can also click the plus sign to add them to your queue. Now, I'm realizing now that as I'm doing this demo, I probably should not have my personal draft queue over here. Whatever. Surprise, there it is. That is my current draft queue. You should definitely be setting up a draft queue. It is going to help us really move the draft a lot faster, so please do so. You do that by finding the player here and clicking the plus sign. He'll be dumped into the bottom of the queue where you can grab him and drag him all the way up to the top or wherever else you want, and he's going to sit up there. Okay, so just click the plus sign. That's going to take you there. You can search for players in here. Right. I want to look for Casey Mutrin. I can do that, and then I can click that plus sign. He's going to jump into my queue, and I can drag him up to the top. So that's how you're going to use this queue here, or sorry, the available players here. Now the queue on the right, first of all, it is also filterable by position. And as you saw, you can resort it by dragging and dropping. You can also click the X to get someone out of your queue. And when someone is drafted, I believe they'll disappear from the queue. And we'll test that in a second. You can also draft from here. So if it's your turn, you can click that draft button out of your queue instead of having to find them again in available players. Little info here, if I click the info button, it reminds you this is totally private to your team, but your proxies and an admin can see this. On the right side, you have the settings. So let's talk about these auto draft settings. This is really important to get right. By default, it's going to be set to auto draft from your queue when time expires. So you can see that's the one that's selected right now. What that means is when your clock runs out, it's going to take the top guy in your queue, no matter what, assuming you've got a spot available on your team. The option above that, never auto draft from my queue. So if you're just totally afraid to use that, that's fine. You can still use the queue as a scratch paper for yourself. So you can, rank your players and just set that to never auto draft. That means when the timer runs out on you, it's just going to skip your pick. It's not going to pull someone from that queue. It's going to skip your pick altogether. As a reminder, if your pick is skipped twice at any time during the draft, if you're skipped twice, you're automatically withdrawn for the rest of your picks. The third option, auto draft immediately. This is actually the best one. This is really what you should use. This is as soon as it's your turn, it's going to take whoever's at the top of your list. I like to see everybody using this. You're going to get that on deck notification. Jump over here, make sure your queue is good to go still. It's going to take whoever's on top of your list. If there's no one in your queue, it won't auto draft from available players or anything else like that. So you don't have to worry about that. It's only going to draft from your queue. If your queue is empty because everyone's been selected, then you're just on the clock. The last one, auto draft. Sorry, I should differentiate. So it's auto draft immediately for your next pick. If you have that enabled, it'll use that auto draft feature just for your very next pick. Once that pick has been made, it's going to switch back to auto draft from queue when time expires. So it's going to do that one pick and then safety comes back on. Auto draft immediately for all picks. Now this is really brave, but if you want to do it, have at it. If you do that, then it's going to immediately draft when you're on the clock from whoever's at the top of your queue. So you could do this. You could literally put 80 guys in your queue and then just walk away, set that setting on, and never have to think about this draft again. It's just going to take whoever's at the top of your list over and over. Those are the auto draft settings. There's 4 of them there. There's one that's missing, and I'll acknowledge this, and it's something I hope to build for the future, but we will not have this year, which is to set some positional logic here. So you want to take the highest ranked goalie on your list or the highest ranked defenseman on your list, something like that. Fantrax has that. We don't have it yet. Hopefully next year. Those settings are also here in this upper gear wheel. Same draft settings. And if you change it here, it'll be updated down here. Okay. That's more or less all there is to see here in the draft room. As I mentioned, you can jump to different leagues real easily this way. See who's on draft and on deck and everything else. Okay. I'm going to quickly pivot over to the mobile version of this just so you can see what that looks like. So I'm going to share from my phone. That's why I'm in this meeting twice. Okay, so here I'm on my iPhone. I'm just going to open Chrome. Here's the dashboard. As you can see in the middle, I guess I can't point to anything, but as you can see in the middle, it says 16 picks to go to LAB. I'm going to click that, and that's going to take me into the draft room. Now, the draft room looks a little bit different on mobile just because all those boxes would not look nice. Here's that little gripper in the middle, so I can shift that up and down. Up at the top, we have all the same info. You can see the clock ticking down and all that. You've got your settings gear wheel up at the very top. I can do all the same stuff. I can jump to teams. I can jump to leagues, etc. Teams, there's the little arrow to jump through it. Okay. You get the idea. Pulling back up from the bottom, I've got available, I've got queue, I've got activity. No idea why they're in a different order here, but who cares? Okay. So this is what it looks like on mobile. Obviously a little bit clunkier, a little busier and harder to navigate, but very manageable. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to come back to my computer now. Now there's 2 notifications that you get, as I mentioned. One is the on deck notification. So I just jumped over to the forum here. This is my private message inbox. When you're on deck, you're going to get this message. It says you're up for pick number 2, tells you which of your teams and what league is on deck with pick number 2. There's nothing to do yet. You'll get another message when you're on the clock. It also will remind you of your auto draft settings. So it's going to tell you that you've got no one in your queue, or you know, this pick's going to be automatically made because you've set your settings that way or whatever. So it's going to tell you that right here. And then it just gives you a link to the draft room. It's going to open in a new tab and take you back to the draft room. When you're actually on the clock, it's going to give you this one. Oh, sorry, let me go back to that. If I did have someone in my queue, it would actually say, whatever your settings are, that it's going to draft immediately. It's going to tell you who it's going to draft. So it's going to say that, like, you've set to auto draft Gavin McKenna, and it'll tell you that right here in the message. Okay. Now, obviously, if this is the on deck message, so if Gavin McKenna gets drafted right before you, that's going to be wrong, but it's going to do its best. When you're on the clock, you get this message. It's going to tell you when it expires. Now, keep in mind you have 12 hours to make a pick, and the clock suspends overnight for 3 hours. So this one started, I forget what time I triggered this draft, something like 3:30 or whatever. Yeah, it must have been 3:31, right? So that'll expire at 6:31 tomorrow morning, which is 12 plus the 3-hour pause. If your clock runs out, this pick is skipped, 2 skipped picks, blah, blah, blah. If you've already been skipped, it's going to warn you. You've only got 1 skip left, so don't screw this up, right? And then again, here's a link to open that draft. After the pick has been made, if it was an auto draft pick, it will tell you. So you'll get another PM that says so-and-so was selected to your roster with pick number, whatever. If your pick is skipped, it'll also tell you. Your clock expired, your pick was skipped. So you get those follow-up messages as well. If you make the pick yourself, so it's not auto draft, I don't think you get that follow-up message, because why would you need it? So those are the PMs you're going to get. All right, real quick, let's just run this through. I'm going to switch into admin mode. Now, one thing I want to call out, you might have seen in this info, it says that commissioners can see your queue. This is true. I think that is helpful. Commissioners can help work through that. But given that I'm a GM in the PCFL, I didn't want to just automatically see everybody's. So I made this feature basically where even though I'm an admin and I can see this wrench, I'm not actually in admin mode until I intentionally enable it, right? So I'm only going to do this in emergencies, and when I do, I'm not going to look at your queues. I'm not trying to cheat, right? Okay, anyway, I click admin mode. I still see just my queue here, but I could toggle around to others. All the boxes are now orange because I'm in admin mode, so I can pick for anybody. And now you can see what it looks like when you're actually on the clock. These buttons are bright orange to draft. So I'm going to draft now for Pimples. I'm going to take Gavin McKenna. Just going to go out on a limb and assume that's where we're headed. So I'm going to click draft. It's going to make me confirm that that's actually what I want to do. I'm going to say, yep. Give me that text up here. Pimples selected Gavin McKenna. It's going to move us on to Queen City Canucks, who, by the way, just got a private message. They didn't because I've disabled it, but they just got a private message that tells them they're on the clock. And incidentally, it's going to tell them they're on deck also, because they're back to back here. Down here, I can see PMP selected Gavin McKenna, number 1, and it'll tell me who actually made that pick. So if it's a proxy or if it's the commissioner or whatever, it's going to tell us that. So there's Gavin McKenna. I can click him and get some detail there. That's that player panel. If I go to teams and I scroll down to Pimples here, I can see that he has average time per pick of 1:53. This has just been running in the background for a couple hours. That's his JV roster. By the way, that's his JV roster. And if I scroll down, there's Gavin McKenna already there. He's already on the roster, right? You do still have to go at him in Fantrax, but he's already on the roster. And if I jump over to this last one, there's Gavin McKenna as well. If I go back to selections, I think, yeah, I can click this, just a little hidden feature, but there's no arrow or anything. But if I click that card, I can see some details about McKenna right there. We don't have headshots for many of these 2026 draftees yet, so they'll mostly be blank like that. Okay, as I mentioned now, And let me just jump over to Pimple's roster page. As I mentioned, that player gets added immediately on your roster here, but does not end up on your Fantrax right away. However, you're going to get that nice roster alert. There it is, pop right in. That's going to tell you you've got a difference between Fantrax and the app, right? So this is going to say, hey, you've got Gavin McKenna here, but not on Fantrax. So just a nice little reminder if you did forget to jump over to Fantrax and make that pick, which of course you can just do from here. I think that's pretty much all there is to it. These drafts will go live automatically on Tuesday at the scheduled time, which is 6 a.m. Pacific. I'm not going to be watching it at 6 a.m. Pacific. So if it doesn't launch right away for some reason or something goes wrong immediately, give me a minute. I should be in the office probably around 9 a.m. Pacific on Tuesday, and I'll address the issues then. And then, as I said, if you've got ideas, even if you got ideas already, I'm not going to make many more changes at this point. It's just too close to draft time. I don't want to break anything, but all ears if we want to make some additional changes for next year for future drafts. Also, if this goes really well, we might want to use this for the re-entry drafts as well, just to simplify things. But let's, make sure it actually works first. So with that, good luck to everybody in the draft. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and yeah, let's see how it goes.